Good morning, everybody. How is everyone doing this beautiful Sunday morning? Huh? How's everybody doing? My cat is being a nuisance today. Let me just fix this up real quick. I see we've already got questions. Holy crap. Have you ever read The Death and Return of Superman? And did you read the one that came out in 2013? Also have I picked up the Supergirl Silver Aged Omnibus? Death and Return of Superman. No, I have not read the omnibus, but I have read the event, The Death of Superman omnibus. Very classic story from the 90s. Very dated stuff, by the way. Very, very dated. Some of the dialogue, give or take, not the greatest thing in the world. But it's a fun event. For the most part, I think if you are getting into Superman, it's pretty easy to get into. It's self-contained. You don't really need to know anything about the character. And, he fights Apocalypse. And it's a really cool thing. It's a really cool story. When it came out, man, in the 90s, that event was fucking huge. I mean, it was something that sent shockwaves all across the industry. And everybody in the industry was like, holy shit. It made news. Like, it made actually mainstream media news. Like, wow, they killed Superman off of that. Superman is dead. He's never coming back. Mind you, this was before comics started to become what they are today, where they kill off a character like before lunch. Marvel will kill off a character. Marvel will kill off a character and then they'll announce the character's coming back within a week. It's ridiculous. But I have read the event, and it's okay. It's fun. If you're into 90s comics and that type of style, it's definitely fun. Pardon me for eating right now. My second question, have you read or picked up the Adventures of Supergirl trade paperback? I haven't read much of Supergirl. Believe it or not, I have not read much of Supergirl. All right, so here's how it's going to go. I'll be on for probably the next hour. Today I'm recording... Today I'm recording the Luke Cage review. I'm also recording the review for the Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu Omnibus Volume 1. I'm also recording... What else am I doing today? The Patreon stuff, the news Patreon video, and a few other things, and the Patreon Book of the Week segment. So I'm doing a lot of things today. It's going to be a busy day. Have I heard when the Master of Kung Fu Omnibus variant comes out? I have money to spend and don't want to hang on to it for a month. Nobody is 100% certain right now when it's going to come out. All that we know is that Marvel has got a printing error or something like that with Diamond. Something happened with Diamond Comics and they've got a printing error. The last thing that I have heard is that supposedly it'll be the first week of November. That's the last thing that I've heard. It's going to be the first week of November is that when we're getting the variant cover, along with the reprints of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Omnibus, which, a lot of people have been dying to see that. And if you didn't get it within like the first 3 hours that it was up on In-Stock Trades, you missed out on it, sadly. But yeah, November is the rumored date. And that's what everybody's saying. I personally have mine still on order from Tales of Wonder. I was one of those guys that when I heard it wasn't going to be released on In-Stock Trades, I jumped over to Tales of Wonder's website and I pre-ordered it for like $70. Now, when we'll get it, I have absolutely no clue. I'm dying to get my hands on it. And in fact, I was even thinking about, just saying fuck it and selling my variant cover on eBay or through the Facebook group. Because really, it's just a cover. And, I mean, the stories are good. The stories are really good. You guys will see that in my review when I review it this week. That should be up. The review for Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu Omnibus Volume 1 should be up Monday for Patreon, Tuesday for everybody else. So that will be what happens this week. It'll be fun stuff. Super, super busy. Super busy right now. Wow, I'm really surprised at how many people are already in the chat. Good job, guys. Glad to see you're safe, bro. Yes, yes. I was one of the ones that were fortunate enough not to lose power during Hurricane Matthew. Thank God. I was really fortunate about that. I know a lot of people on the East Coast got really hammered hard, man. It was really rough for those guys. Thinking about picking up this Flash Silver Age omnibus from In-Stock Trades. How good is it? It's classic Flash, man. You cannot go wrong with classic Flash. Classic Flash stories are great for a reason, and they're fun. I mean, the Flash is an iconic character for a reason. Have I read Low by Rick Remender? I've read half of it. I've read the first 6, 7 issues of it. Really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I enjoyed the hell out of Low from when I read it, and I think out of the 3 things Rick Remender is doing right now for Image Comics, Low, Black Science, and Deadly Class, and of course he's got 7 to Eternity right now. I think Low ranks at the bottom of the list, but this is a guy right now that is cranking out some of the best work he has ever done. Still not as great as Fear Agent, but Low is really good. If you're a fan of like really cool underwater sci-fi, really, really great concept. The art, not everybody's cup of tea. The art is a bit rough for some people. I understand that. I think it's pretty good. I know the artist worked with him on Uncanny X-Force, and he had the weakest arc on it. But when you see the art in Low, it's way better than the stuff he was doing on Uncanny X-Force. I think the stuff in Uncanny X-Force was a bit rushed, and it's a reason why. Hardcover, what movies, when they come out, are you more excited for between Marvel and DC movies? I'm actually the most excited for right now is between Spider-Man, and I'm also really super excited for the Justice League movie, believe it or not. I'm, you know what, Infinity War, I could take it or leave it, to be honest. And it's not that I'm not hyped for it. It's that I want to see it. I really want to see Infinity War. I want to see if they pull it off. But it's like, okay, we've seen the Avengers together and everything like that. There's a bit of the mystique that's been worn off by seeing the Avengers already like in 3 movies. At least that's my take on it. I'm really excited to see if they pull it off, and I want to see Thanos, you know, in all his full glory with the Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff. But you know, it's just, it doesn't have that same feel of excitement for me. At least that's just me. Let me see. What else? Now that we've seen more footage of liking Tyler, Superman, Clark Kent, and I actually, you know what? I will take back some of the crap that I was saying about him. He actually does look pretty good in the super suit. You know, not in a very straight way. And I'm saying this, wow. But he actually does look the part very well. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. You know what? I think it was just a bad photo. I even said it when I was looking at the image. I was like, you know, this could be a bad image. You know, we'll see what happens. Best sci-fi, fantasy, non-superhero comics, preferably already collected as omnibus or hard. I'm reading Saga and I love it. Fear Agent, man. Fear Agent. I pimp Fear Agent every single week on this channel. The Fear Agent library editions are gorgeous little collections. By the way, news. For those of you out there, if you are looking for the Fear Agent Library Edition Volume 2, do not spend a crazy shit ton of money for it. After sellers on eBay and sellers on eBay right now, they are hiking the price up for Volume 2 because it's out of print currently. Rick Remender has said on Twitter there should be a reprint of the Fear Agent Omnibus of the Fear Agent Library Edition Volume 2 by November. Hold out. Don't pay ridiculous prices of it. Fear Agent is stellar, though. I mean, I've reviewed it. I've said a million different things. I really can't talk about Fear Agent anymore because I've talked about it to death on this channel. But Fear Agent is probably one of the best sci-fi comics that's around today. Do I read anything about IDW? Yes, Lock and Key. Anything involving Lock and Key, I will read. Abby G. Hi. Why does everyone panic that a graphic novel will go out of print? I can understand that the price may hike, but I think it worries everyone, and therefore money is spent. Yes. Here's the thing about collectors and worrying about things going out of print. You have several different categories of collectors, at least in my mind. You have the ones that collect to read, and the ones that collect to enjoy, and the ones that collect to, display them on their shelves and things like that. You have those guys, the ones that are just, casual fans that they love to get collections. They love the oversized omnibuses. They love the hardcover editions. They love that stuff. And then you have the resellers. These are the guys that they go in on in-stock trades on Tuesday, on In-Stock Tuesday, and they know that a very important direct market variant omnibus is going to come out. It could be a Shang-Chi Volume 2. It could be a Doctor Strange omnibus. It could be, a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2. They know that it will fetch for a high price when it resells. So what they do is that they buy in bulk. They buy 3 or 4 of those things, and then they resell them. That is very common for these people to do this because they know that the market will demand it. And I think the casual fans, what it is that they are aware there are a lot of guys out there that they will be reselling it for a huge price. So they jump on it right away because of that fear. Because of that fear that if I don't get it right now, the price is going to skyrocket really soon. So it makes sense. And it also makes sense for the best value for your buck, because if you really want to read something, if you are dying to get your hands on, let's say, a Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2, you're going to want to get it at the lowest price, right? Because not all of us have $125 to spend or $130 to spend on an omnibus. I haven't paid full price for an omnibus, and holy shit, I don't even think I've ever paid full price for an omnibus. Let's see. There are a lot of older DC comics that are out of print. Wish they will be released soon. Example, John Byrne's Man of Steel miniseries. John Byrne's Man of Steel absolutely needs to be reprinted or at least put into an omnibus format. I'm absolutely surprised that with the movies, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, with all these movies that are coming out, that stuff hasn't been recollected. It blows my mind that they have not decided to put that together. Also, for those of you guys that are out there, there is a rumor. There's a rumor. Here's a rumor talk from New York Comic Con that they will do an omnibus collecting the Green Lantern Corps. Now, this comes from secondhand, obviously, talking to people through the Facebook group and things like that, where apparently they showed Peter Tomasi a custom-bound Green Lantern Corps omnibus, and he forwarded it. He took a picture of it, and he forwarded it to the Heads Up, and the Heads Up said, that's a great idea. So we might get it. It's not a guaranteed thing, but we may actually get a Green Lantern Corps omnibus, which is way, way overdue. Let's see. I will start reading Bendis's Daredevil. Is there only a 3 Ultimate Collection trades to go for? Do you know something about a reprint? Especially Volume 2 is very expensive. Bendis's Daredevil is the 3 Ultimate Collections. That's all you need. Is it 3 or 4? I believe it's 3. If not, it's absolutely 4. But yeah, it's awesome. I haven't looked into it. Is Volume 2 massively out of print for the Ultimate Collections? No, it might be 4. I think Bendis's Daredevil run is 4 Ultimate Collection. Hold on. It's just a quick Google search on the old Amazon. I can't believe they're reprinting Ed Brubaker's run before Brian Michael Bendis. It's weird, but we have no way of predicting what omnibuses are gonna get printed, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. Yeah, Bendis's there are 3 Ultimate Collections for Brian Michael Bendis's Daredevil run, so get those. That has everything you need for Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil reprint. Holy crap, I just saw the value for the Volume 2 of the Ultimate Collection. Sweet Christmas, $60. Wow, I didn't know it was that far out of print. Let's see. There's a ton of... Did Mark Waid's Daredevil run get an omnibus? No, it's getting an omnibus. It's getting one either late this year or next year, but they have announced that Mark Waid's Daredevil run will be collected in an omnibus format for those of you guys that are out there and are still waiting for it. So definitely keep your eyes out on that. Should be coming out next year, early next year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we're finally getting an omnibus about it. I'm not going to trade up because I have the nice little hardcover collections. So there's no real reason for me to trade up other than like for review purposes. And even then, I'm like, it's an amazing run, but I'm happy with the way I have it right now. Let's see. I hope to get Superman Birthright soon. How good is that mini? Superman Birthright is awesome. It's so fun. It's such a great and fun read, man. Oh my goodness. Such a blast to read. I absolutely love that story. You're welcome. You're welcome for the reprint news. Did I do a video with Riley this week? I did not, and here's the reason why. I posted this in the Facebook group. The reason why I didn't do a video with Riley this week was because, well, it was two things. One, we were getting ready for Hurricane Matthew because it hit us, and I was fortunate enough that I didn't lose power. Everything was okay. You know, I wasn't on the East Coast. I live in Central Florida, so I'm fine. We only got the outer bands. Riley was also really sick that day, and he had a real sore throat, and he couldn't really talk. So we pushed it back, and we're going to do it next week. For those of you that are wondering, this Thursday's video will be the book of the month, where we will be covering the first volume of Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force. Stellar stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Do I think Hickman's Avengers should be collected in an omnibus? I think it's only a matter of time. That's my opinion on it. I mean, it's regarded as one of the best Marvel runs in recent memory. So I think it really is only a matter of time before we get the Hickman omnibus for his Avengers run, and I think it'll contain the New Avengers and the Avengers all in. I'm gonna say 2 omnibuses. I would say in order to cover everything, you'd probably need 2 omnibuses, and they'd split it right down the middle, because that's a lot of content. And then you'd probably Secret Wars would probably be something else collected on another omnibus. So in total, my best guess would be 3 omnibuses. You have the first half of his Avengers, New Avengers, and then you would have the second half of his New Avengers, and then you'd have the Secret Wars omnibus, which would contain everything Secret Wars, including the main event and the tie-ins. That would be at least what I think. Hickman's FF Volume 1 needs a reprint. Hickman's everything Fantastic Four needs a reprint right now. You could tell, man. Oh, it's so sad. You could tell that Marvel's dumping the Fantastic Four stuff, and they just don't give a shit anymore, because it's so sad. The omnibuses are going out of print. They're getting harder and harder to find. The John Byrne ones are hard to find, and pretty soon the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee ones will be hard to find. It's so fucking sad what they're doing to the Fantastic Four right now. And I agree, we definitely need a Hickman Fantastic Four omnibus reprint. Hickman's run on the Fantastic Four is absolutely brilliant and stellar stuff. It's so good. It's so good, man. What are my favorite Wolverine comics? Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan is really good. There was one with Chris Claremont and Frank Miller, and for some reason, I think it's called Weapon X. Really good. Wolverine Origins, really good. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Uncanny X-Force, he's a prominent character in that, and he's awesome in it. What else is out there? I mean, Wolverine's a character that he's had so many freaking good writers on him. It's ridiculous. You could pick out so many great Wolverine comics, and it's so incredibly well done. Wolverine is one of my favorite characters. He's so cool. Hey, HC. X-Men show from the 90s or Spider-Man show from the 90s? I am a sucker for the Spider-Man show in the 90s, and I will tell you why. Because in the 90s, when I was growing up, I wasn't a fan of the X-Men, and I really don't like the cartoon too much. I was like, it's okay. It's a fun cartoon. But I was always a fan of Spider-Man. Clearly, if you see my shelf, I have a lot of Spider-Man omnibuses out there. Always a diehard Spider-Man fan, even when I was a kid. I mean, I would have the Spider-Man underoos. I'd be jumping around the house. I'd be swinging from, like, trees and stuff like that, pretending I'm Spider-Man. In fact, I almost busted my ass one time because I jumped off of the stairs, and I almost didn't make it. Like, the back of my heel clipped on the last step, and I face planted onto the floor as a kid. Oh, man, good times. Let's see. Thinking about the Smallville Season 11 trade paperback soon. How good are they, and do they feel like the TV show? Thoughts? I have never delved too much into the Smallville comics or the Buffy comics or anything like that. However, I've heard they're pretty good. I've heard they're not bad, that if you are a fan of the source material, and if you are a fan of Buffy, and if you're a fan of Superman and you're a fan of Smallville, that they, for the most part, really capture the essence of what the TV show was. That they've got a lot of great writers on it, and they've got really strong artists on it, and that they've got, in some ways, like the blessing of, for example, Buffy. There is Joss Whedon's blessing, and there's, Joss Whedon's hand is a little bit into it. I would imagine that Joss Whedon oversees some of the scripts and things like that, and he's like, yeah, I trust you guys, but let me read it to make sure that everything is going well. What's my next buy? What's my next buy? My next buy right now is the Fade Out hardcover, which should be here on Tuesday, and I will do an unboxing of that. That unboxing will go up Wednesday, so that is my next buy right now. The Fade Out hardcover is awesome. So good. I love the Fade Out. I read some of the single issues I read some of the issues in singles, and I thought, man, this will be really cool, like all Ed Brubaker stuff once it's collected. Have I ever got around to watching The Wizard of Oz? No. In fact, I've never seen The Wizard of Oz. I have not seen The Wizard of Oz. I haven't seen Forrest Gump. I haven't seen a lot of classic films that my girlfriend gets on my ass about. Never-Ending Story. Haven't seen that either. West Side Story. Never seen that. I know. Where have I lived, right? Hey, but it's not as bad. I actually have a friend who has never seen E.T. Other than Warzone, what are some good Punisher books? Absolutely everything that Garth Ennis has done with the character. With the exception of the Marvel Knights stuff. The Marvel Knights stuff wasn't that great. Punisher Max. That's all you need to read. Punisher Max. Punisher Max is stellar. It's the best Punisher story that has ever been written by Garth Ennis. And I'm actually going to start diving into Jason Aaron's Punisher Max run, which I've heard is also really good. And it's a sequel to what Garth Ennis did in many ways. So I'm excited to really dive into that. I have the omnibus sitting on my shelf. I just have not sat down with it, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to get into it. I've heard Steve Dillon's art is, it's give or take, you take it or leave it on that run. Thoughts on Jim Lee's artwork? Jim Lee's okay. I don't mind Jim Lee's artwork. As far as like 90s artists go, Jim Lee has progressed enough and his style has evolved enough to the point where I'm like, it's not as garish, it's not as ugly as hell as it used to be. So I'm like, yeah, Jim Lee's art, it's not bad. I know a lot of guys, especially my age, they revere Jim Lee's artwork. They love Jim Lee's artwork. They can't get enough of Jim Lee's artwork. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I think that also has to do with the fact that we grew up, especially my generation, the kids that grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, we grew up watching Jim Lee's artwork. We grew up, the X-Men comics that he did, all the stuff that he did in Image, that was the stuff that we grew up on. Same principle with Todd McFarlane. So there is a bit of a bias in there, and there is a bit of a sense of nostalgia in there when we see Jim Lee or when we see a Todd McFarlane draw things. It's like, oh man, I remember that. I remember what that was like. But you look back on some of those comics and going, some of that stuff was just garish as hell. It really was not that attractive. And it was just the style. That was the 90s style where you had mullet Superman. You had guys that were super huge, bulked up on steroids, big ass chests, big ass muscles, where I'm pretty sure they sat down, they probably couldn't even wipe their ass if they tried. That was the style of the 90s. And, a lot of guys, they fell off. A lot of those artists, they fell off as the 90s came to a close and as the art style changed. But you've got some artists that stuck around. You've got guys like Jim Lee who were able to change their style and evolve and change with the times and go, you know what, this doesn't work anymore. These super big muscle guys, let me try something different. And then you've got guys like Rob Liefeld, who he's stuck around, for the most part, but he's not as well liked as he was in the 90s. In fact, most people who like comics and who like art and who have an artistic eye and have developed that artistic eye through years and years of reading will say, yeah, Rob Liefeld's art and anatomy is piss poor. It's terrible. I mean, the guy's been in the industry for like 30 years and it's still horrible. But, he's a nice guy from what I've heard. He's actually a pretty chill dude. I love your work, and I'm glad I got into comics because of you, and glad you're back with your videos. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, good sir. I appreciate it. What am I drinking? Right now, I am drinking Arnold Palmer because I'm in the South and it is never too early to have iced tea. Ooh, wow. Have I read Essex County by Jeff Lemire? Just completed and it's amazing. I have the paperback, the nice oversized paperback on my shelf. It's on my to read pile. I've been dying to get into it. Just wanted to say hi and thank you for your help. I got your videos now, and I've built up a nice collection of comics. Thank you very much. Also, what is my opinion on the rebirth event of DC? I think it's probably the best thing that DC's done in years. Absolutely, absolutely one of the best things DC's done in years. I'm loving more books from DC Comics than I've had in years, in all seriousness. And it's to the point where I've dropped almost everything Marvel and I am reading almost exclusively DC and Image. And of course Hellboy, because I have to keep up with my Magnolia verse and Hellboy stuff. So, and IDW because of Lock and Key. But for the most part, anything right now that for the most part, everything that DC is pumping out right now is actually really good. DC really is stepping up their game. I'm so happy with Rebirth. I'm so happy that they decided to get back to their roots. Wow, from Greece. I'm flattered. Is Immortal Iron Fist by Brubaker and Fraction really that good? Will from Nerd Ventures adores it. Yes, it really is that good. It's absolutely stellar stuff. And if you are a fan of like Mortal Kombat, and if you are a fan of like classic tournament style martial arts movies and things like that, absolutely pick it up. It's so great, and it's a great jumping on point if you are a fan of Iron Fist. If you are a fan or you just getting into Iron Fist, ooh, I forgot. I have to do the trailer reaction for the Iron Fist teaser that was dropped. But if you're a fan of Iron Fist, that is absolutely the way to go. Brilliant, brilliant stuff on Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker's part. Really, really great stuff. Plus, it also has one of my favorite moments by Danny Rand that I've ever read in a comic. It's stellar. Some of the stuff that he pulls out of there. You'll know the moment. Trust me, you will know the moment when you get to it. It's such a you got his ass. Fuck yeah moment. Which artist do I think evolved the best from the 90s? I think Capullo. I would actually agree with you. I think out of the big guys that came out of the 90s, the ones that have done the best and have evolved would have to probably be Capullo. Because if you look at Capullo then versus Capullo now, and his style did change. His style got more refined and he got a lot better. And I would actually agree with you. Capullo is probably the guy that came out of the 90s the best. But you got to remember also Capullo for a lot of years was a nobody. And I don't mean this to insult the guy, but for a lot of years he had flown under the radar of everybody. He had kind of gone on the wayside of a lot of the 90s guys. He was one of those guys that the 90s went and he disappeared. Then New 52 happened and everybody was like, holy shit, Capullo can fucking draw. When he started doing his New 52 run with Scott Snyder. And now he's doing, this week in fact, his Mark Millar book comes out. I think it's called Reborn. I'm super excited to see it. Plus, Capullo's one of those guys that he is chill as fuck, man. If you ever get a chance to meet Capullo at a convention, do so. One of the coolest cats, and he will sit down and actually talk to you for a few minutes. He sits down and talks to pretty much everybody. Really cool guy if you ever get a chance to speak with him. Absolutely loved meeting the guy. I've been disappointed meeting certain artists and writers before, and I was kind of gun-shy to meet him. But I knew right off the bat when the first time I met him, I didn't even say hi to him, and he goes, hey, we got the same barber. I was like, this guy's awesome. He's friggin' awesome. I've been disappointed meeting some writers in the past, and God, it fucking broke my heart. But Capullo was definitely one of those guys that awesome cat if you ever get a chance to meet him. Does Jason Aaron's run on Thor lead into the new Unworthy Thor series? Yes. To my knowledge, it does. You should be perfectly fine. But you should read God Butcher as it is. Holy crap. Let's see. Sigourney Weaver is going to be the villain of the Defenders. Any thoughts on who she is? My best guess, and this is the floating rumor around that I was reading today. It's gonna be Mephisto. That's the guess that everybody's saying. It's going to be Mephisto, which I can see it. I can see Mephisto being the leader of the Hand and them having to fight the Hand. I'm going to say that's probably the way they're going to go with it. And, you know, they've talked about rumors that there's going to be a crossover between the Netflix series and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. So we'll see how that goes. And if that's the case, I can totally see them incorporating Ghost Rider into the Defender stuff. And I think it'd be really cool to see him partnering up with like Danny Rand and Luke Cage and everything. I think it'd be really cool. Favorite book under Vertigo? Mine is Transmetropolitan. It's Preacher. Absolutely. Preacher is my favorite book. Isn't the Immortal Iron Fist omnibus very out of print? You would think they would show. Yeah, the Immortal Iron Fist omnibus is massively out of print, really hard to come by. But we are getting an Iron Fist TV show. We're getting that really soon, and it comes out in March. They announced the release date, so expect to see something in the coming year. I would put like $10 down right now that we will get an Immortal Iron Fist omnibus reprint. I would bank money on the fact that we're going to get a reprint of that pretty soon with the TV show coming out. And thanks for everything you do. I just started comics with you, and your channel is a big help. Keep up the great work and take care. Greece from Germany. Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Will we ever get a Charles Soule Swamp Thing Deluxe and Jeff Lemire Animal Deluxe editions? I'm honestly surprised we haven't gotten a Jeff Lemire Animal Man Deluxe edition, simply because of the fact that we got a Swamp Thing by Scott Snyder Deluxe edition, and it ties so heavily into Jeff Lemire's run. I mean, there are issues that if you don't read his Animal Man run and then you jump into reading his Swamp Thing run, I would argue you'd be pretty lost. Now, of course, they'd say, no, you can read it and you'll be perfectly fine. But I'm like, no, this ties in way too much for you not to read them together. It's questionable. I don't know. I really don't know if we will get a Charles Thing. I would probably bank we won't get a Charles Soule Swamp Thing Deluxe, simply because of the fact Charles Soule isn't really as much of a household name as Scott Snyder is. Scott Snyder, he's built up a name for him where he is basically what Geoff Johns was probably like 6, 7, 8 years ago, where you put Geoff Johns on a book and everybody's going to instantly go, I have to pick it up. I have to read it because it's Geoff Johns. Scott Snyder is that guy, and DC seems to be kind of grooming him and putting him into that position. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years we'd see Scott Snyder take over the position that Geoff Johns had before he jumped into doing the movies and things like that. There are the complete collections. For those of you out there that want to read the Iron Fist story before the TV show comes out, and that want to get probably one of the best modern interpretations of Iron Fist, the complete collections are still readily available, and they are really a great way to read it. I have the complete collection. I don't have the omnibus. DC has started putting out their runs in bigger trade paperback collections like like The Invisibles, which was featured in their spring catalog. Yes, DC has been putting out a lot of classic stuff into trade paperbacks, and nice little oversized trade paperbacks. One example of that is that they are reprinting Geoff Johns' Teen Titans stuff in trade paperbacks. They're going to start collecting all that stuff. So those of you out there that you didn't want to deal with the holy hell of an unwieldy, huge, big-ass, brick-size omnibus that was the Teen Titans omnibus, you don't have to deal with that anymore. And again, those of you that don't... Okay, tip. Here's a tip for you guys. If you are looking for the Colossal Conan omnibus and you are about to spend really, really, really a good amount of money on it, hold off. They are reprinting Colossal Conan in trade paperbacks. I'm not sure if it's later on this year or next year, but they are reprinting on it. It's been solicited by Dark Horse. What is the most underrated Marvel modern Marvel run, except for Superior Foes of Spider-Man, on course. Of course, I think currently the most underrated thing that Marvel is doing right now is gonna have to right now, not run in general, but right now I would probably say it would have to go to Power Man and Iron Fist. Such a fun book. If you guys are sleeping on Power Man and Iron Fist, you are really missing out on a fun ass book. It's a blast to read. David Walker is killing it. David Walker is one of those guys that everybody's sleeping on. If you've never read his Shaft comic, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A lot of guys are sleeping on David Walker, but he's one of those guys that's coming up right now in the industry, and I'm expecting big things from him. He's a really solid writer and a real cool cat if you ever follow him on Facebook and Twitter. Are the deluxe editions of Y the Last Man worth buying? If we're talking about the absolutes, hell no. The absolutes for Y the Last Man are not worth buying at all. That's just my opinion on it. I know there's some people out there that they'll say, yeah, it's worth it. You know, you get the art in oversized format, but there's almost no special features on it. It's kind of a lame duck, in my opinion. I was so disappointed with that, and I've talked to you guys about it before, but I would actually just say, yeah, get the hardcovers instead. Which Vertigo book would you like to see in a television show? Y the Last Man scalped 100 bullets. We've got Scalped coming to TV. They've already confirmed that. We've also got Southern Bastards coming to TV. Y the Last Man, last thing I heard was that they are working on a TV show for it. And 100 Bullets, I think 100 Bullets will work best as a TV show. Out of those, I'm the most excited to see Scalped, simply because if they do it right, if they do Scalped right, I think it could be the next Wire. I am not sugarcoating it. I think Scalped is that good and the source material is that good that if they pull it off right and they do it well and they do it justice, it could be the next Wire. It could be the next Breaking Bad. It could be that next really big hit show where everybody's talking about it the next day at the water cooler. Or do people even talk in front of the water cooler anymore? Okay, when people are talking in front of their coffee or something like that. Like, holy shit, did you see Scalp last night? Did you see what Dash did? It's fucking incredible. It's amazing. You know, I think Scalped has the potential to be that show if they do it right. And it would kick ass if they put it on. Omar coming. Yeah, hell yeah. I love Omar. If they do it on HBO or if they do it on FX and they really take it seriously and they don't sugarcoat the material, because Scalped has some really dark shit in there. There's some really, really fucked up and dark shit in Scalped. But if they do it right, it could be really one of those series that everybody's like, oh my God. What are my thoughts on Garth Ennis's 10 issues on Cross and Cross in general? Huge fan from Brazil. I have never read Cross. I've heard mixed things. I've heard it's really messed up, and if you aren't crazy about really screwed up stuff, then you probably want to pass. But I'll give anything but Garth Ennis a shot. But you know what? I love Garth Ennis. He's probably one of my. Garth Ennis is probably in my top 2 favorite writers of all time. But I haven't read all of his work. I want to sit down and just go binge on everything Garth Ennis, but man, the guy is just, he's been in the industry for so long, he's pumped out so much great stuff that I need to sit down and read it. Do I read manga? If so, have I read Platinum End? I have not read Platinum End. I've heard good things about it, but I really want to sit down with it. I've also want to read One Punch Man. I've been dying to really get into One Punch Man. Everybody's saying it's overrated trash. Everybody's saying it's just a parody of stuff. But you know what? I mean, I'm somebody that I want to read it for and judge it for myself. You also have the ones that are out there that they're saying it's overrated trash simply because they want to be contrarian and they're like, yeah, it fucking sucks because, you know, it just does. And then they don't really justify it just because they want to be contrarian and they want to go against the curve and, you know, because it's popular. Because One Punch Man is so popular, so I'm going to hate it. There are people that are out there like that. I never understood that mindset. Yeah. What do I think of the upcoming Inhumans versus X-Men? Okay, I'm about to go on my weekly Marvel rant. I'm so done with Marvel. Marvel, I'm done with you. I can't, honestly. I'm so done with your events. I'm done with you trying to shove the Inhumans down my throat. I'm done with you trying to, you know, get rid of the X-Men or whatever the hell you're trying to do with the X-Men, because you clearly have no clue what you're doing. But I am done with Marvel. I am done with these events. I don't care anymore. I really don't care. Next week they could announce that Scott Summers is getting married to Sasquatch, and I'd be like, all right, fuck it, yeah, I'll read it, whatever. You know, I don't care. I really don't care, because they've beaten me. They have beaten me down so much to the point where I just don't give a damn anymore about what Marvel does with these corny ass events that they put out every single month. I don't care. Is anybody still even reading Civil War 2? Does anybody even care about Civil War 2? There was a recent release that showed the numbers of Civil War 2, and they showed how poorly Civil War 2 is performing compared to even the original Civil War. Civil War 2 is performing so poorly. Nobody gives a damn about Civil War 2. It's terrible. You have guys that are putting out reviews for Civil War 2, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to stop doing reviews for Civil War 2. Big-time YouTubers are saying, yeah, I'm just not covering Civil War 2 anymore. Simply because the hits, they're not coming. And the thing is, when you are a YouTuber, when you make your living off of YouTube, like a lot of these bigger guys are, you cannot waste your time creating content on stuff that nobody's going to see, because that is time lost. And I'm learning that as I'm creating content as well. I'm actually being more choosy with the stuff that I do, simply because of the fact that my time is precious, because I have a full-time job, and then I do this on the side, and already I'm probably putting in, I would say, probably about 20 to 30 hours a week just on YouTube stuff alone, on top of my full-time job. So I understand where they're coming from, where a lot of these big-time YouTubers are like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not covering Civil War 2 anymore because I'm not getting hits. Nobody's watching these videos. Nobody cares about Civil War 2 anymore. The fact that Marvel merchandise is the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Guardians of the Galaxy, seriously, man, this is just insane. Bendis is good with street level stuff. I think Bendis should go back to street level stuff, and I've heard his recent book of Jessica Jones Alias, the one that came out, it was either last week or the week before, was actually really good. That it was Bendis going back to his roots, and it was actually a really strong freaking read. And if you are a fan of Jessica Jones, and if you're a fan of Alias, and you're a fan of what he did in that series, go back and go. That you should pick it up, because it's a really strong read and it's really fun. Now, I haven't read it, so take that with a grain of salt, obviously, but I've heard it's really good, and it does take place before the current Luke Cage, Power Man, and Iron Fist stuff. It takes place way, way back in the continuity, in the Marvel continuity, which is good, because I was wondering what the hell they're going to do if they try to take her down a dark road again, because she's currently in Power Man and Iron Fist, and she has a daughter. So I'm like, she's not going to be an alcoholic, because you can't have a mom as an alcoholic like Jessica Jones. So apparently it's set in the continuity when the character was first introduced, when she first came out. So I'm like, okay, I get that now. I thought Bendis was just doing Bendis and ignoring everything that's going on right now. Do you know when we can expect Black Mirror by Snyder and his other Bat runs as an absolute, since Court of Owls was just released? I'm holding out not to buy the trade paperbacks, and it's killing me. Court of Owls was released, I think it was 1 to 2 years ago already. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Death of the Family, of 0 Year. I'm surprised we haven't gotten all that stuff in absolutes. There's no solicitations yet on that stuff, but bear in mind, the run did just end last year, so it wouldn't surprise me if we start getting like whispers and announcements coming in for later next year of like an absolute edition of like Death of the Family, or an absolute edition of Endgame, things like that. It would not surprise me if we start hearing little rumors and little hints coming out next year of people going, yeah, absolutely. So just hold out a little bit longer. But Black Mirror is stellar. I don't think we'll get a Black Mirror absolute. I'm doubting that one. I would say we'd probably get his Batman run before we get the Black Mirror absolute, but I would love a Black Mirror absolute edition. I think Black Mirror is still the best thing that Scott Snyder has ever written, Batman-wise. Have I read House of M? No, I haven't, actually. I'm not a big event guy. I really am not. And I think it's because I'm so freaking burned out on events that I haven't been able to sit down and read House of M. Let's see. Am I looking forward to Justice League versus Suicide Squad event? I'm not looking forward to any events. I'm not an event guy. I really am not. I've tried different events, and for the most part, none of the events really catch with me, because I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I just like to read the books that I like, and you're shoehorning this event into the books that I like. I'm just not an event guy. It doesn't do anything for me. It really doesn't. It really does not. Am I looking forward to, let's see, thoughts on the two Amazing Spider-Man movies? In my opinion, not very good. I agree. I don't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I think Andrew Garfield was actually a pretty solid Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, but Spider-Man. As Peter Parker, he was kind of an asshole. But I think he was a good, solid Spider-Man. I think with the right material, he could have really been the best Spider-Man. Now we've got Tom Holland, so we'll see how that works out next year. My three most desired whales. For those of you out there that are watching this right now and you don't know what a whale is, a whale in comic terms is a comic that is a white whale. It's a comic that you've been dying to get your hands on that you're like, oh my gosh, if you see it in the wild and it's for a good price, you instantly drop the cash on it right there. The three most desired ones would have to be the Silver Surfer Omnibus, the Annihilation Omnibus, and let me think, what would be another one? You know what? I've always wanted to get my hands on, and I know I can still get this for a good price, the Stan Lee Hulk Omnibus. I know I can still find it for a good price. I saw it the other day for like 90 bucks. I just don't have the cash on me right now. Mine is Mark Waid's Black Widow series is good, not as good as his Daredevil run. Ooh, yeah, Simonson's Thor. Okay, scratch the Incredible Hulk. I would actually get Simonson's Thor. I want to get my hands on a Simonson's Thor omnibus. Although that stuff has already been reprinted in trade paperback, so it's not something that I'm like, man, I really want to just get a nice omnibus of it. I could just get the trades. Have you, or are you going to get the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover? I want to read that. I so badly want to read the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. I've heard great things. I've heard it's so much friggin' fun. Oh my goodness. Fun fact, by the way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually started off as a parody of Daredevil. Think about it. Radioactive ooze spills on a character, ninjas, the hand, the foot, starting to put things together. Started off as a parody of it, as a parody of the extreme Frank Miller era where things were like really dark, grim. That's what it started off as. What do I think of Jason Momoa as Aquaman? I'm worried that if they make him too badass and wild, we will lose the human side of him. I'm curious. I'm curious how they're going to play him up. I think because it's Scott Snyder. First off, it's Scott Snyder. The guy doesn't know what subtlety is. He probably can't even spell the fucking word subtlety. He screams to me as a guy that he grew up on the 90s comics and he's a dude bro. And he's like, yeah, you know, Aquaman has to be fucking extreme. He's got to be drinking whiskey and he's got to be hitting on chicks and stuff like that. He strikes me as that kind of guy. I'm interested to see where they take the character. I'm interested to see what they do with the character in the Justice League. But I'm not sold on him just yet, simply because of the fact that Aquaman's got a bad rep, and Scott Snyder went even. Oh my god, this was so stupid. He actually called into a radio station a few years ago saying, "Yeah, you know, you guys don't know nothing about Aquaman," because apparently in the radio station they were talking shit about Aquaman, and he called him in. He's like, "You guys don't know nothing about Aquaman. Aquaman's badass. Wait till you see him in my movie." And I'm like, "Oh my god, you are such a fucking dude, bro." Jesus. Ugh. Where's the best place to start? Read Spider-Man. I hear the Ultimate Spider-Man is the best. Yeah. Ultimate Spider-Man is a perfect place for you to start reading. Also, I always recommend Kraven's Last Hunt. I recommend you could start reading the classic Stan Lee, Steve Ditko stuff. That stuff is readily available in a beautiful little omnibus collection. If you're not a fan of that old stuff, you can read where else? John Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man run is a really good place to start. You can start with Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man, which is the modern-day interpretation on the character. Also a really good place to start. The Marvel Now run on Spider-Man, great place to start. You've got several different places where you can start reading Spider-Man. But if you just want a one-and-done Spider-Man story where you don't really need to worry about too much continuity and you like a good examination of the character, I always recommend you start with Kraven's Last Hunt. Really stellar story where he fights Kraven the Hunter. Really good stuff, man. Oh, really, really good stuff. What do I think about this year's Flaro crossover? I'm not entirely sure what that is. Vertigo or Image? Dumb question, I know. Currently Image. Currently Image, but overall, you just can't beat Vertigo's output. You cannot, man. I mean, Vertigo until probably the last 5, 10 years. I know because Vertigo had Y the Last Man. Vertigo until probably the last 6, 7 years was incredible. They had a stellar run, and they still have a stellar run of books that I don't think Image hasn't topped. I mean, you've got books like Preacher, Y the Last Man, Sandman, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, Transmetropolitan. You've got books and books on books that Vertigo has pumped out that are absolutely stellar and legendary runs. Image has had a few good things, especially recently, but they don't have, a Sandman. They don't have a Preacher. They don't have that iconic book that changed the landscape of comics altogether. Some would say Walking Dead is there in certain ways. It has changed the landscape of comics, but it's not a Sandman. It's not a Preacher, Thoughts on Luke Cage? Couldn't get past episode 3 personally. Really disappointing. I love Luke Cage. I thought Luke Cage was really fun until about episode 8. And then the show seemed to start running out of gas, like really quick. Like you could tell that they probably only had enough content for about 8 episodes, and then they really had to start filling in stuff. But for the most part, I really enjoyed Luke Cage. I finished it last Friday. I'm working on a review for that. That should go up sometime this week. I love Joss Whedon's X-Men. Would you like to see him back in comics? Oh, hell yeah. I would love to see Joss Whedon come back to comics. Joss Whedon was awesome when he was in comics and he was writing the X-Men. Amazing stuff. With John Cassidy's artwork, which really wasn't bad. It was a good run. Let's see. Do you think a live-action Sandman can ever work? I don't think so. I don't think a live-action Sandman can work. I really, really doubt it can't, because there's a few things why I don't think a live-action Sandman series can work. Because in the Sandman comics, the main character, the titular character of Sandman, isn't in it that much. Sandman is not in the comics that much. He's in probably half of the entire series. So you're going to have your main character that the movie is based off and only half of your movie? I don't see that working. Not only that, but Sandman is so grand, so all-encompassing. It covers literature, it covers politics, it covers mainstream media, it covers music. Sandman is so grand in scale that I just don't see it ever working as a movie. A TV show, it's possible. It's really possible, and I think it would be a better fit for Sandman. But as a movie, how do you truncate all of that content into a small 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie? What do I think of DMZ? It's written by Brian Wood. I don't cover it. Sorry, that's just me. Your thoughts on current Star Wars comics and miniseries from Marvel? What are your favorites? I'm not reading too much of the Star Wars stuff from Marvel. I read the first Darth Vader hardcover. I thought it was okay. I think I gave it like a borrow on my review, and I thought it was okay. But I've heard there are the actual main Star Wars comic is really good. Did I hear a cat before? Yes, I have a cat. Do I think the audience will ever hit a breaking point when it comes to superhero movies? Predictions. I think so. I don't think they'll go the way of the Western, where they'll completely disappear, but I think we're starting to get to the point where it's a bit too much. There's too much going on, and we're starting to get a bit oversaturated with the amount of comic book movies and with the amount of tropes and things like that, which is why I love Deadpool so much, because Deadpool took and looked at comic book movies and said, okay, we've got the superhero poses. We've got the same, one no character bad guys and things like that. Let's examine this stuff and let's turn it on its ear and let's parody it and let's make fun of it. That's why I think Deadpool was such a freaking breath of fresh air in the industry and for comic book movies. And I think that's why it did so well, because audience members are starting to recognize, okay, you've got these tropes. You've got these certain tropes that we're starting to see in every single superhero movie. And Deadpool said, you know what, let's examine on it, let's make fun of it, and let's crack on it. That's why I think Deadpool is probably one of the best game changers for the industry. But I think for the most part, the industry as a whole, it's going to be a few years, but we're starting to get burned out. I know I'm personally starting to get burned out. Like, for example, I still haven't seen the new X-Men movie. I haven't seen Apocalypse. Simply because I'm like, yeah, I saw Civil War. I love Civil War. I saw Batman versus Superman. Fucking hated Batman versus Superman. But and then we got Doctor Strange coming out later this year, which I'm excited, but I'm not like, oh my God, I can't fucking wait to go see Doctor Strange. And I'm kind of the same way with Infinity War, where I'm excited, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Infinity War. And in all honesty, if it wasn't for this channel, I probably wouldn't even go on release day to watch Infinity War or Doctor Strange, simply because I gotta put reviews out and I gotta put out content. I think post Infinity War, I think where it's going to slow. I actually agree with you. I think post Infinity War, it's when things are going to start slowing down a little bit. I don't think it's going to completely disappear, but I think that'll be the perfect time where a lot of companies will examine things and go, okay, maybe we should scale back and maybe we shouldn't crank out 3 or 4 of these movies every single year, because the audience is probably going to get tired of it. And let me say this: if Infinity War is a bomb, if Infinity War is the first Marvel movie that is a bomb, then it's terrible. It's really highly unlikely. But if it is, and it doesn't live up to the hype, oh, you are going to see so much backlash against comic book movies. Simply because of the fact that Marvel has been building up Infinity War for years. They have been building up this huge event with Thanos for years and years and years and years. And if it bombs, that's going to be a huge black mark, not only on Marvel, but on the comic book industry as a whole. Thoughts on Star Wars Rogue One? Are you going to see it? Also, did you enjoy The Force Awakens? Yes, I did enjoy The Force Awakens. Yeah, I know a lot of people say it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the original Star Wars, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm excited to see Rogue One. I heard it was really dark, and then Marvel and Disney went in and said, yeah, you got to lighten this up a little bit. I'm like, really? Come on. I really want to see a bit of a darker tone to a Star Wars movie. What would be the biggest mismatch when it comes to a writer and character combo? That's a good question. I'm going to say Squirrel Girl and Garth Ennis. Oh my God, can you imagine a Squirrel Girl and Garth Ennis comic? Oh man, I would love to see that. Oh my goodness. Which is kind of, you know what, I'm hoping, which is kind of sucked because DC Extended Universe is going to get their stuff together around post Infinity War. I hope. I hope they do. I really do. I'm hoping that because Jeff Johns is overseeing a lot of stuff, that he'll be able to go, yeah, you guys are fucking up. It's time to clean this up. I've said my plan. I've said how they can fix the DC universe. You flashpoint that bitch. You flashpoint it and you pretend that the last few movies never really happened. And you wipe them out completely and you get back to them. Makes them great. Make DC great again. Hashtag. Make DC movies great again. Because DC animated movies are really good. My thoughts on the Punisher Netflix series announcement. Hell yeah. Absolutely cannot wait for the Punisher Netflix series. It's going to be badass. I really cannot wait to see what they do with that character. And that'll be the first Netflix show post-Defenders. So that'll be really cool to see. I'm really excited for that. Which villain would you like to see be in the next Suicide Squad movie? Did you enjoy the first movie? Oh man, did I enjoy the first Suicide Squad movie? I posted a review of it. I got a lot of hate for it. So if that gives you any indication about what I thought of the movie, but as a quick reminder, I started the review saying that if you like this film, you're probably not gonna like what I'm gonna have to say. So yeah, I did not like the first Suicide Squad movie. Absolutely hated it. I thought it was terrible. Now we're getting the Suicide Squad director's cut or the extended edition. Is this really what DC and Warner Brothers are going to do every single time they put out a terrible DC film, where they put out a film that we know a lot of shit was cut out? Are they really just going to release an extended cut every single time? Like, oh my goodness, man. Hello, hardcover. Have I watched the new Iron Fist trailer yet? I have not, simply because of the fact that after I'm done here, I'm going to record my reaction to it. And I want to give you guys a legitimate reaction. Because let's call it for what it is. All right, I'm talking to you directly. All right, I'm going to call them out. You've got guys out there like Armin from Comic Book Cast. I don't give a fuck. I'm calling him out. Who you can tell when he's doing a reaction was, oh my god! Holy shit! It's incredible. Did you see that shoe? I'm calling his ass out. I don't care. It's pretty obvious that you've seen the trailer already and that you're not giving a genuine reaction. You know, it's kind of obvious. It really is. And then you've got like guys on YouTube where they post these. Have you guys ever seen these screenshots where they're like this on the little thumbnail? I'm like, you are so being fucking disingenuous right now, and you know you are. I hate that. I really hate that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really, I am somebody. I am somebody that I don't sugarcoat things. I really do not, and I'm being honest with you guys. I'm being honest with the fans in here in the chat, and I really don't like sugarcoating things, and I hate that stuff. I really do. Like, are you really gonna have this reaction to every single trailer you watch? Come on, guys. Come on. Ugh, I hate that stuff. And that's something that I'm sorry. That's just something I hate. Let's see. Opinion on Frank Miller. Personally, I hate his art. I love Frank Miller as a writer. I love Frank Miller in the 80s, in the 70s. Current Frank Miller, I think, is batshit insane, and he's out of his goddamn gourd. But I love classic Frank Miller. I love Sin City. I love Daredevil. I love Dark Knight Returns. I don't really love necessarily what Dark Knight Returns did for the industry, where it took everything in a dark direction. You know, I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about the effect that it had on the industry. Thoughts on Punisher Max, the next Netflix series? I already spoke about it in this stream, but I'm really excited to see what they pull off and what they do with it. Especially, I'm hoping that they involve Barracuda, because I think Barracuda is awesome as a villain. I'm hoping that's what the main villain will be. I love Barracuda as a villain. I think Jon Bernthal is going to kill it. And I like the interpretation of Punisher. I really do like what they're going to do. And we've already seen set photos where he's with Karen Page. So we're going to see that little tie-in with Daredevil and things like that. I really want to see what her role is in the Punisher Netflix series, especially since that series will be the first series post-Defenders. So I'm excited to see what they do. Another YouTube comic book reviewer I recommend is Cat Comic Uno. Her reviews are awesome. Oh, cool, dude. I'll check it out. Absolutely. By the way, you guys, if you got like really cool comic book YouTubers that you like and you want to tell me about them, absolutely let me know. You know, there's a community. I'm a very niche member of the community, but I have my strong following, and I really appreciate you guys. What do I think of Luke Cage? I already said my thoughts on Luke Cage. I think Luke Cage is fun. I enjoyed it. My review will be going out later this week, where I go more into detail of it. It will be spoiler-free. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Luke Cage up until about episode 8, and that's when I think the series started to go a little bit down the drain. It's not terrible. You know, it didn't get horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I think they only had enough gas to go about 8-10 episodes. How great is Westworld? Holy crap. Guys, are you guys watching Westworld yet? Westworld is awesome. Oh my gosh. I can't wait for my fiance to get home this afternoon so we can sit down and watch the second episode of Westworld. It's so, so good. Oh my goodness, man. I love the premise of it. Do I read any series monthly? Yeah, currently I'm reading Seven to Eternity. I'm reading Chew. What else am I reading monthly? I have to look on my Comixology account, which is fantastic. Tom King's Batman, I recently just dropped simply because I'm gonna wait and see and read in collected editions. I think it'll read a lot better as a collected edition rather than singles because you're getting the whole overarching arc. Are there any Archaea books you really enjoyed other than Tale of Sand? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I've got a few Archaea books that I think are really good. Thoughts on the Wildstorm revival? I'm excited. Warren Ellis and Garth Ennis heading the Wildstorm revival? Sign me up, man. I cannot wait to see what they pull out, what kind of crazy stuff they pull out for Wildstorm. Where do I think they'll go with Superman in the DC Extended Universe after they shit all over him? Oh man, that's hard. That's really hard to see where they're gonna go with him. I don't know, honestly. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't think there's any way to be able to predict what DC's plans are for Superman right now, simply because I don't think they have a firm grasp on what the character is and what the character means to a lot of people. So it's kind of hard to see where they're going to go with it. I mean, 5 years ago, if you had said, yeah, Warner Brothers is going to make a DC movie involving Superman where he kills a person at the end of the movie and he snaps a guy's neck, a lot of fans will probably go, you are out of your damn mind. They would never do something like that. I heard you like Alice in Chains. What's my favorite song by them? You know what? I know it's common. I know everybody loves this song, but I love Rooster. Rooster is so good. Rooster is a really good Alice in Chains song. Rooster is one of those songs also that it means a lot to me because when I was dealing with my depression issues, I had some problems with alcohol and things like that. Rooster was one of those songs that I related to on such a personal level, and it really helped me out a lot. Maybe kill him and bring Shaq back to Steel again. I would love to see Shaq be in Steel again. Oh my gosh, man. That would be great. For me, Christopher Reeve will be the best Superman on film of all time. Henry Cavill, while I don't hate him, not sold on him as Superman. I agree with you. Henry Cavill is actually. I just don't think Henry Cavill has the acting chops. I just don't think he's that strong of an actor that he could pull off Superman that well yet. And that, maybe it's a case of the material not being that great, but I think Christopher Reeve still is the best Superman that we've ever had. Although there could be a strong case for Tom Welling from Smallville. You know, Tom Welling from Smallville, he didn't do that bad of a character. He didn't do that bad of a job. Hell, he did. He was Superman for like 8 years. And bring back Halle Berry as Catwoman. No. Oh. Have I read the new Power Rangers graphic novel? I have not. I'm actually really excited to sit down and read the new Power Rangers stuff. Granted, I haven't read or watched Power Rangers since I was like a little kid. I mean, I'm coming back to the time where it first came to the United States. I still remember when it first came to the United States. I still remember the first time I saw Power Rangers. I was at my friend's Daniel's house, and he put on this bootleg VHS that he had of Power Rangers, and I lost my shit when the Zords came on. I was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible!" You know, I still remember that. So I'm excited to actually go back and read it. I've heard good things, and I've heard that the people that are writing the Power Rangers books currently are really big fans of the source material, and they love it, and they're doing a good job with it. On that note, is there a comic book story that helped you the most with depression and alcohol issues? I've actually talked about this for a while now. I've gone on record and said that All-Star Superman saved my life. That when I was going through probably the worst point in my life, probably about a year ago, where I had absolutely no clue where the hell I was going. I stopped doing the YouTube videos. I had just gone through a very emotionally crippling and a very emotionally abusive relationship. And let me be real with you guys, because I feel like we're kind of a family right now. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real. It's for men, it's not as common to admit that you were emotionally abused and that you were emotionally put through the ringer, because men are put on this pedestal as, no, you have to be strong, you have to be tough, you can't be, it's not common for you to be emotionally abused and for you to be emotionally put down in a relationship. The fact is, I was put through a ringer emotionally through a relationship, and I was emotionally abused, and some things that I still deal with today. But the thing that pulled me through that, and the thing that gave me strength to get through that, was absolutely All-Star Superman. That was the book, and that and Mark Waid's Daredevil were the two books that my life was in the can. It was really bad. That I was probably, I still remember coming home one night and thinking to myself, I'm getting real with you guys, I should just drink this bottle of bleach. I still remember that. It was after a con, it was after Tampa Bay Comic-Con, where I was completely lost, and I was going, you know what, I'm just going to drink this bottle of bleach and I'm done. And I pulled out, and I'm almost tearing up right now, Absolute All-Star Superman. And I read that panel, "You're stronger than you think you are." And I'm genuinely getting teary-eyed right now. And I just went back in my room and I fell asleep. And looking back on it now, and I am tearing up. Looking back on it now, currently I'm in one of the best points in my life, and I would have missed out on this if I had just given up then. So, that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Have I read Paul Dini's Dark Knight: A Real Batman Story? Yes, I have, and I reviewed it. I posted a review of that probably 3 months ago. Am I hyped for the new John Wick? Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm hyped for the new John. I love John Wick. John Wick is gonna be so good. If the dog dies in John Wick 2, that's bullshit. Yeah, that was one of the things. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Probably they'll kill his bird this time. Yeah, the killing of the animal is kind of a pet peeve of mine, because it's an easy way to kind of get an emotional rise out of the audience. It's kind of a cheap way to kind of draw a connection to the audience, where it's like, holy shit, yeah, you killed a dog, you're automatically labeled as an evil person. So it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but I'm excited to see it. I hope the dog doesn't die. Man, I really hope he doesn't. Oh, that would suck. That would absolutely suck. Imagine if the start of the story they shoot the dog. Oh my god. Ugh. I love John Wick. Have you seen Inf Moon's Harley Quinn? She's amazing and actually talks to me. I have not. I haven't seen Inf Moon's Harley Quinn. I'll look that up though. Ooh. Whoa, where was I going with that? It's like I was stuck on repeat for a second. Uh, have I seen the new teaser for The Walking Dead? Yes, I saw it this morning. I did. I saw it this morning, and I am really freaking hyped about it. I really am hyped about it. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is that after every episode of Walking Dead, I don't have cable, so I have to go to my mom's house and my brother's house to watch it there. But I think I'm going to do a live stream after every single episode of The Walking Dead and talk to you guys about it. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Now, I'm pretty certain, simply because I am a member of the Spoiling Dead fans Facebook group, and they've taken pictures of every single member that's been on set, and there are 2 members on the set that have not been recorded, that have not been reported to be on set the entire season. I'm not going to ruin who they are here, but I'm pretty certain I know who's dead. Have I read Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina series? Absolutely brilliant. I love Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina. Stellar, stellar, stellar stuff. Brilliant stuff. It's really good. Not as strong as Y the Last Man, but really good stuff. Hardcover, American Gods from Dark Horse next year. Can't wait. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how they translate American Gods. I can't wait to see how they translate the vagina-eating man thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For those of you out there that have never read American Gods, there's a scene where a vagina eats a man. The man is in so much pleasure, he doesn't realize he's being eaten by it. Oh, my God. Hardcover, are you a gamer? Yes, I am. I am absolutely a gamer. In fact, I will type in my PSN account, and you guys will be able to add me right now. There's my PSN for those of you that are wondering. And for those of you that are wondering, that second one is my Xbox Live account. So go ahead and add me. Right now, I'm currently playing, what am I playing right now? Gears of War. I have the Gears of War 4. I started that this morning, like really, really early, because my fiance had to go to work at 5 in the morning. So I started that, and I'm going to start working on YouTube stuff now. Really fun stuff, the new Gears of War game. So yeah, if you're a gamer, go ahead and add me. I can't promise that I'll play that much, simply because of the fact that things are just crazy for time crunch. So, do I remember Lizzie in the Walking Dead TV show? Who the hell was Lizzie? I don't remember Lizzie. My favorite game genre, RPGs. Love RPGs. All right, guys. So I've gone on longer than I thought I would. I'm gonna say 5 more minutes. So get your questions in. 5 more minutes. So hurry it up, because I have work to do. Yeah, I did do my top 5 favorite video games a while back. My favorite Quentin Tarantino movie would probably be Jackie Brown. Everybody says Pulp Fiction, but I love Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown's so good. What do I think of the Infinite Warfare BS? It's an easy way for them to get cash, simply because everybody wants to play Call of Duty 4, and they remastered it. So it makes sense that they would go that round, but you got to pay a little extra to get it. It's kind of screwed up. Will you do another focus video like the one I did with the Magnoliaverse? What one would you do? The reason I did the one for the Magnoliaverse was simply because of the fact that everybody kept saying, how do I start reading Hellboy? How do I start reading Hellboy? Hellboy's got like 13 different books. I have no clue where to start. So I looked at it and said, you know what? A lot of people are saying this. Let's break down Hellboy. Let's get it into a format that you can absolutely read. I break it down. These are the books you want. These are the books you read. These are the books you don't necessarily need, but you should read, things like that. And I took that as a whole and examined it. I haven't gotten as much of a demand as I did for that. So by all means, if there's anybody out there that wants me to like try and break down a universe and like a recommended reading order for them, let me know. Have I read One Punch Man? No, I'm planning to read it. Where should I start reading Hellblazer? Skip the Jamie Delano stuff. Start with Garth Ennis. Jamie Leno's run on Hairblazer. Oh, Hairblazer. Wow. On Hellblazer, it's good. He's the start of the character, and he sets a huge foundation for it. But Garth Ennis really takes it and he runs with it. So start with Garth Ennis's run. Does anyone still read Lumberjanes? I remember you doing a review on Volume 1. Lumberjanes is fun. It's such a fun series. What graphic novels would you recommend to someone into martial arts and stick fighting? Well, the Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu omnibus just came out. Let's see. What else? Ooh, there was a comic a few years ago involving a black character. It was a martial artist, and I can't remember the name. Aphrodisiac. That was the one. Aphrodisiac's really fun. It's really weird. I think that's the name of it. Hold on, let me do a quick Google search. Yeah, pick up Aphrodisiac. It's a really fun kind of blaxploitation-esque comic book. That's really fun. The Shang-Chi omnibuses are really good. Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction's Iron Fist is really good for the Immortal Iron Fist. Those are really great starting on points for comics. If you really like that martial arts stuff, that Five Fingers of Death, Bruce Lee style martial arts, really good places. What's my favorite? What's my favorite Marvel or DC movie this year? My favorite Marvel movie this year. You know, my favorite Marvel movie this year, and I know it's not in Marvel continuity, would probably be Deadpool. And out of the two that's released, God, it's like you're picking between. Ugh. Out of the two DC movies that have been released, which are both pretty bad, I would say Batman vs Superman. Netflix Iron Fist thoughts. I haven't given you my thoughts simply because I haven't seen the trailer yet. Because I want to give you a genuine reaction. I don't want to give you a fake reaction like certain other YouTubers out there that are really popular. And I want to give you a genuine reaction of the trailer. I'm super excited to see it. And that'll be the first thing that I do once I get off of here in like 2 minutes. What are some good reads, DC reads, that isn't Batman and Superman? If you're looking to get into the Flash, Jeff Johns' Flash run is really good. Oh, Grant Morrison, that isn't Batman or Superman. Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, absolutely stellar. Marv Wolfman's Teen Titans, stellar, classic stuff. What else? You've got classic Suicide Squad by, I can't remember the freaking name of the writer for some reason right now. John Ostrander, Suicide Squad is great stuff too. Make sure to add the hands for the thumbnail when you show your Iron Fist reaction. Oh yeah, I'll make sure I do it. I'll make sure. I don't know, guys. I just find all that stuff super silly. I find that stuff like super dumb. Like every single YouTuber for these reaction videos, you see their thumbnail and they're either like this, or like it's a trailer, guys. Are you really that hyped to see to see a teaser trailer where they really don't even show the main character in like a suit or anything? Like, okay. I don't know. I always find that stuff to be, yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine. It really is. And I know I'm starting to sound like the old comic book YouTube guy. I know I really am. It's just a pet peeve. What's my favorite Studio Ghibli movie? That's a good question. There's My Neighbor Totoro, which is good. Spirited Away would probably be my favorite. Live to Rock, you are late, buddy. I am ending this thing in probably the next 2 minutes. Sorry, pal. Ow. Have you read Joker by Brian Azzarello, and what did you think about it? Yes, I have. Joker by Brian Azzarello is a really fun read, and if you're looking for a spiritual successor to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. I recommend you do read it. Really, really great read. I haven't seen the Flash TV show's Flashpoint. I want to see it. I want to sit down and see it. I want to sit down and see that, and I want to sit down and watch this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. simply because they have Ghost Rider in it. All right, guys, but I'm going to call it. Look, thank you so much for those of you that are in this live stream right now. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. Really, really, you guys are what make this channel what it is. And I love you all very much. And all that good stuff. For those of you that haven't checked out my Patreon, putting that in the description right there. Oh, that is not the correct link. I don't know what those numbers are. For some reason, that came up. That's not even a phone number. Check out my Patreon. We are $15 away from hitting $100. If we hit the $100 mark, I will be giving away this bad boy right here in a random raffle to the Patreon subscribers. And all you need to do is to donate $1. If you have $1 a month, which is less than the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, it's greatly appreciated. It helps keep the light on this channel. And I love you guys so much. Check that out, please, guys. It's always greatly appreciated. Every dime counts. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for sharing my videos, for hitting the like button, for hitting the subscribe button. You guys are all awesome. And I will see you all in probably about an hour when I post my trailer reaction for the Iron Fist trailer. And I'll make sure I do this or this in the thumbnail. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.